1, 2, 2, 2, yep.
Okay, folks, we just got a little tribute. I always sort of feel there are a lot of songwriters who go through their careers and they don't always get enough recognition. Often it's you look down the very fine print to see who wrote the song. A lot of singers sing the songs, but they don't always give a lot of recognition to the writer. And we've had some great writers in this country over the years. And I remember a little while back at Munduma, we did a little interview with Wade Jackson. Good to see Wade. But today we've got a young fella here with us who's been around the industry for a long, long time, and he's written some great songs. And that's the young fella sitting up there at the desk, Mr. Kelly Dixon. Give him a big hand. Kelly, mate, I think, were you born in Mitchell?
No, I was born in Springshaw.
In Springshaw, okay. Now, mate, your life, obviously, from a little fella up to when you sort of grew, was mainly bush life?
I'm having trouble hearing you there, Merv.
Your life as a young boy, growing up, was mainly bush life?
Absolutely. My father was a horse teamster, and my whole family, 7 girls and 3 boys, were all reared in the shade of a wagon. My father was a teamster, and we certainly were reared in the bush, yes.
Now, when did you first sort of get interested in music and sort of playing guitar and writing songs at all, Cal?
Well, you've got to remember that back in those days, I mean, I'm 88 years of age, and when we was on the road with the horse teams, there was no entertainment. You had to provide your own entertainment. And there was no such thing as even radios. So to entertain yourself, you learn to recite the work of the old masters, or sing a song, or play a harmonica, or a gum leaf, or a banjo, an accordion, something like that. So my interest started probably when I was about 9 years of age. Listening to the grown-up men doing it, so I sort of followed in their footsteps.
Good on you, mate. When did you get your first guitar?
When I was about 14, and it had a very quick sad ending. I parked it one day in the shade of the wagon, and Dad drove the wagon over it. He was glad because he hated it.
There. And do you remember when you wrote your first song?
Oh, Merv, it's a good question. It's very hard, but Clary Weller did a poem that I wrote when I was a kid, 12 years of age. He did it over there at the Poets this morning. And at that time, the local newspaper was offering a prize of £5 for the best written verse. Now, £5, a man was feeding a family of 8 or 10 kids on £5. I wrote that story and it won the bloody prize. My father didn't speak to me for the next 20 years.
There. And when did you first sort of get any recognition for your songwriting? Other people interested?
Oh, I think in the early 70s. Slim put down a big mug of mine in the early 70s. Yeah, I'd say probably 73, 74-ish, somewhere around then. But prior to that, I travelled with Rocky Page. And I used to sing a bit then, when I did have sort of a half a voice. So people in South Australia sort of knew me way back then. But yeah, Slim actually got me going, and I'll always be grateful to him for that. But one of his greatest hits, and I think there's a guy up there looking daggers at me, he's going to sing one song shortly. But before you do that, I want everyone in this room to pay attention now, because I've got 163 songs published around the world by 49 different recording artists. And the people mostly know one bloody song, Leave Him in the Long Yard. Now, am I to believe that the rest of the songs are not worth knowing? So I really hate the song for this reason. I sent the song complete to His Eminence, and he rang me up, he said, oh, this is a great song, but he said, I think I can do the chorus better. Well, of course, I've been down that street before. All these writers used to do this with us. And then he gets 50% of our money, of course.
Yes.
So he sent me the song on tape, a little 4-track, and I heard it. And I rang him back and I said, well, you didn't actually write the music. He said, yes, I did. He's got his name on the right of the music. Well, leave him out there in the long yard, do not rush him. Oh, I'm proud to be an Ogie from Muskogee. Where did the bloody chorus come from? Think about it.
It did, mate. I remember Brian Young came to Bundaberg And at that time you had given him the last stanza. There was that one that was never recorded. And Brian actually sang it that night, and I believe that Len, you got the extra verse too? Extra stanza as well. So you'll have that extra stanza there for you, Cal. I know what it's like, mate, but those songs, often you give a song to someone, they change a couple of words and they want 50% because they changed it.
Absolutely, yeah.
A couple of words. But, mate, when was, what was the first song that was ever recorded for you? That you wrote? What was the first song ever recorded?
Oh, mate, I can't even remember. I mean, I'm living in the hereafter, mate. I walk from the homestead over to the truck shed now. When I get there, I say, what the hell am I hereafter? I mean, I can't remember yesterday, let alone 40 years.
Listen, I'll just remind you, mate, you got $10 off me yesterday.
Did I? Are you sure it's only 10? You got away lightly.
Ah, dear. But I met Kelly some years ago at John Derry. He came to one of the dues there, and then he said he wanted to get a bit of a gig going out there at Camberwell for the Drovers Festival. And we went out for a couple of years. And the one chap that I really liked and grew a great fondness for, Kel, was Gus Williams. He was a great character.
Yes, old Gus, of course, he's passed on, but he was a great artist too, wasn't he? Yep.
He was. He, like a lot of artists would get there to sing a song and they'd get off the stage. Gus played there every day, all day, and they'd only have a break, get in, have something to eat, and they'd be back up playing again. And I actually got up to do a poem there one day, and Gus said, would you like me to do a little something in the background mode? And I said, you go for it. He had done a bit of background while I was doing the poem. We had some wonderful times at the festival out there, and I remember one day Kelly out there, and he had this wagon, and he wanted to put the old drovers in the wagon. And something happened, and we couldn't use the horse team. And Kelly's out the front trying to hitch this wagon up to this truck. It was a pretty fancy wire knot you used there, Kel. I was thinking about them drivers. I hope they don't get lost before it comes apart down the street somewhere and we see this wagon driving backwards. But we got it on, some fancy twitches there. And since then, mate, you've sort of moved around a bit.
Yes, well, I gave it 5 years of my life, and it became, you know, you get obsessed with those things, and it took over my whole bloody life. And I had a cattle property to run, and I had a wife that was very unhappy because I was too tied up with the drover's camp. So after 5 years, I stepped aside there, and then we moved. We sold our lease out there, and we bought Middlemillen, where we live now, up in the northern Tablelands. I have moved around a bit, yeah, but Camberwell's still my old home.
Still the old home, mate, yes. We often like going through there. We got a song here now that's called Stock Horse, mate. Terry's going to do that. When was that written? You remember when you wrote that?
I do remember that. I wrote that in 1976. And I've got to point out, I said I was born in Springshaw. I worked on Carnarvon Station when I was a kid. And that song was inspired by the good line of stock horses we had at Carnarvon. So all the horses that are named in the song, they actually existed. It was written about the good stock horses on Carnarvon Station, yeah.
Okay, well, Gary might get you to play that for us, might they?
Here we go, Kelly.
countryside now, mate, and you don't see too many people riding horses anymore.
Oh, she's changed, mate. She's changed.
Well,
I haven't heard that song for years.
Right, good on you.
Forgotten it.
Good on you. You know, it's funny, Cal, you were saying how sometimes people sing the same song. You know, I've noticed over the years that most of us have probably seen the two big volumes of Henry Lawson and Banjo Patterson, the green and the maroon volumes. And yet you go along to a poetry competition and it seems to be the same 12 poems that everyone recites. There's an awful lot of poems there, but it's just that 12 they seem to pick out. Anyway, we had to look for a couple of people who could knew a couple of your songs, Cal. Now, Axe Marks on the Gidgee, mate, what was that story?
I wrote Axe Mark on a Gidgee about Town Bar Station. I worked on Town Bar on the Cooper for quite a long time. And the grass looked greener on the other side of the fence, so I left Town Bar and went to the Territory. And it's always held a soft spot in my heart when I get sick of living and they cook me and have me ashes smell on the Cooper Town Bar. So I wrote Axe Mark on a Gidgee, and that's what it's all about.
Good on you, mate. We were out there a little while back on Canterbury. Audrey down here lost a little sister there. And we went out to visit the grave and do a little bit of work there. And young Robbie Dare's buried out along there as well now. So, yes, it's interesting country out there. And the old JC Hotel. Anyone been out to the old JC?
Absolutely. All that's left is the stumps there now, though.
It is, mate. The old mate, he couldn't stop the ringers going into drinking, so we took the roof off it. Because it was a PC pub, it just sort of melted to the ground. But we had a great trip out there and we had a lot of reminiscing, and I'm sure you have, Cal. There's a lot of memories out there. So we'll get Alan here to do Axe Mark on the Gidgee.
Good on you, Alan.
With horse bells to keep me company and the waters to flow near me, just an axe mark on a Gidgee. I don't want no fancy grave. Somewhere out there on the Cooper, there's a quiet spot near the 9 Mile where the ringers go each muster when the Gidgee blossoms away.
Kel.
What was that again, Merv?
You've written not only a lot of songs, but you've written a lot of verse over the years.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's a disease, mate. It's a disease.
You know, Kelly, over the years, being part of an association is not always easy, but Kelly always had his hand up and was part of it. I know when we started the Australian Bush Poets Association, Kelly was there. I know when we started the Bush Balladeers, Kelly was there. And it was wonderful that he made some contributions towards both those organisations. Kel, I know it's not your favourite song, mate, but a lot of people like it. And tell us, how did Leave Him in the Long Yard come about?
Oh, that's very easy to explain. I went back to my home country, Springshaw, back in the mid-80s. I think about September 1980, and I was helping a mate of mine out who owned Jojo Creek Station outside of Alpha in the Drummond Range country. My wife Marion and I were there for a couple of months giving them a hand to muster some wild cattle. I had pretty good dogs in those days. And we changed the horse plant to working plant one day at the homestead, and we were drafting up the fresh horses to shoe up and get ready for the next muster, and an old chestnut horse came into the yard. He was all girth marked and saddle marked on his back with grey hair and grey round the muzzle. And I said to my mate Les, I said, this old fella's ready for the long yard. He said, yeah, we'll go and have smoko shortly. We'll clean his, trim his hooves and pull his tail and turn him out today. And there was the song. I went home that night to the cottage, at Stockman's cottage, and in 35 minutes I'd done the song. It was so simple.
Very good, mate. So it's been a wonderful thing to see Kel write so many songs. Nice to see him still kicking about the place and still enjoying life. And folks, he has a wonderful partner, Marion. She's a real stalwart. She's a sister. She's a mate or a sister or something, isn't she, Kel?
Yeah, she's a relieving mate. They fly her all over Australia. I call her wings. If she's not getting in the plane, she's getting off one. And me and the dog have to look after her bloody selves.
She's a wonderful girl, and I know all those years she supported out at the Camberwell there, cooking, and down at Tamworth when you run the things down there. She was always there helping out. Wonderful lady. Folks, we're going to finish with this song, Leave Him in the Long Yard, but before we do that, can we give a big warm thank you for the wonderful contributions that Kelly Dixon's made to songwriting and good voice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. So here we go with this. I've only ever done it on stage once. This is as Kelly wrote it. Leave him out there in the long yard, do not rush him. Leave him out there with his mate, the holy rain. With his mate that he can raise and he can play with. Well, pull his tail and turn him out today. Yes, he's looking kind of jaded, and sight is not the best, and the hair round his muzzle turning grey. He has seen 100 musters, and I think it's only fair that we leave him in the long yard here today. He was broken in the 60s, maybe 63 or more. Never fall, it always seemed to be on hand. Never have I seen him beaten by a bully in the foot, and not what he was bigger of all the land. He's entitled to some kindness in return for all he's been. Now he's wailing and his step is getting slow. Led in under his last summer by the river with his mate, in the paddock where the sweetest grasses grow. Leave him out there in the long yard, we don't rush him. Leave him out there with his mate, the ball he's raised. He's all mate that he can pray, that he can lay with. Well, trim his feet and turn him out today. Stop and see him when you ride this river paddock. Watch this old chap now, his youth has slipped away. And do not tell me when you have to use your rifle. Let's that smoker boys and turn him out today. Leave him out there in the long yard, we don't rush him. Leave him out there with his mate, the body bag. He's all mate that he can blaze and he can graze with. We'll trim his feet and turn him out today. We'll trim his feet and turn him out today.
Once again, thanks Kel, thanks Clary, Alan and Len for playing those songs, and big thanks to the band for the backing. Thanks very much, fellas.